Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Pretty Good at Talking. This is our first show in a very long time. Georgie and I are back from France from hiking on the Hexatrek, and that is the subject of our show today, but not Georgie's trip, not my trip, but a family of 6 who hiked this trail, a mom and a dad and their 4 children, the oldest of which was 9. This is a very technical and difficult trail, and I think you'll be impressed with their story. It really is amazing. I cannot believe they did it. This was the hardest trail overall in many parts that Georgie and I had ever done. So I think you'll be impressed with them. I think you'll get a lot of fun out of it. But first, would you sit through a little shameless self-promotion about my book, Pretty Good at Walking, about my family's through hike on the Pacific Crest Trail. And as always, check the show notes for all the ways to keep up with their journey.
We were born before the wind. Also younger than the sun.
Right there. Wraps round. Switch back up. And then goes out the top of that pass over there.
Hey, everybody. I'm really excited to talk to Charlotte today. Charlotte is a through hiker. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You took your family.
Yes, we did it.
You took your family much younger ages than my family was when I pulled them down the trail. So today I really just want to hear your story. I want to hear everything, what led to it, and then tell us all about how you decided on that trail, and then we want to find out what happened. So go back to the beginning, all the way to the beginning. I'm sorry.
Yes,
This
let's
is
start
Charlotte.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Charlotte, and maybe I should tell about my family first. So we through hike with my husband and our 4 kids, age 9, 7, 4, and the youngest was 8 months when we started, and is now 13 months. So that's about us. And then how it started. Actually, it all started when we had our first baby, to be completely honest. When our 9 years old was a baby, I wanted to keep hiking because we hiked a lot with my husband. And it was hard. I couldn't figure the way to, hike with a baby, not on a day hike, but like a few days. I couldn't figure out the gear, okay, but how can we take everything? How is it going to work? But I didn't know about all the gear we have now, obviously. So it took us a few years to actually, find the use and discover a water filter, for example, because before that we didn't have any. And that kind of thing helped a lot about, the weight we should carry with our kid. And then I found a few people on Instagram, actually, who did hikes, long hikes with their young kids. And I asked questions. I found about gears. And I discovered one day that they were through hike in the USA. I read hey, there are people hiking 4,000 kilometers. Or is that even possible? That sounds so nice. I don't know. I had a deep sense of, I want to do that too. I talked to my husband and was like, what? Yeah, from Mexico to Canada. Can you believe that? Because I had no idea it even existed. But it seems very, very fun and nice to be, with your family doing a thing as simple as walking with for so many months and be together and, discover hardships and beautiful thing all together, just walking. And I don't know, I had a deep sense of I want to be doing that too. But it took a bit of time to convince my husband, to be completely honest, because he wanted to do a through hike, but he was very scared of how do you get your kids motivated? I don't want to be spending all days come on, just walk and sing a song and do this and do that. And he was like, I don't have the energy. I'm okay to walk 3,000 kilometers, but I'm not sure about let's keep walking, kids. It's gonna be so fun when it's hard and it's not fun. So that took a bit of convincing, and we tried, and we did a few hikes for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. And one day said, well, I think I'm ready. And it was, when was it? January now, a few months ago. And 4 months later, we left. We left for France, and we decided, as I told you.
Wait. I'm going to ask a question. You're saying in January you decided to do the France one and not before that?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, not before that. Yeah. was very last minute. But my heart was ready. I already had like a list of gear I needed to buy in case one day he would say yes. Everything was ready. He just had to say yes.
So take me back to, just give me that moment when he said, "All right, I'm ready." Like what was the context of that moment?
We're,
Was
we're
it
in church, actually. He was not too far from me, and he texted me, "I think I'm ready." I was like, what? Yeah, so it was very,
Oh, that's cool.
very fun. I was like, "Are you just kidding? Or are you sure? Sure?" You're like, "No, no, I'm sure." But at first, I almost thought it was a joke because he said, "I think I'm ready." I'm like, "Yeah, you think or you are?" "No, I am." So I was just happy. I was like, "Let's start working." And I just went back on my computer and started buying so many things to be ready. So yeah, we had a few months to figure that out. And, school stuff, everything to how can we miss school and start leaving and just walk for so many months.
Yeah.
And I told you before, when I was thinking about that for a few years, like, I really love adventure. And usually when we go on vacation, we go to countries not so popular. We're not, resort kind of family. We don't go to hotels that much. We like to discover and go to the people and take the bus and whatever. And so I wanted to through hike the TCT, so Trans-Caucasian Trail, the Caucasus, the Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. But thinking about it with such young children and not knowing if we could walk that much, I was like, maybe France is a bit safer and our kids could actually talk to everyone, which was really easy. And in case we wanted to stop, we were just a few hours from home. So it made the decision easier to through hike France and not another country. For the first one, at least. We'll see for
All
the
right. For the first one.
Yeah.
Has he texted you in church to approve the second one yet?
Well, we aren't back home yet, so he hasn't chance to text me. But I don't know. The other day I was nursing our kid to sleep. I was like, don't give me my phone. I'm gonna find another adventure before we even get back home. But the kid
Oh,
wanted
how
to
wonderful.
to bike back to Belgium, so I guess we're ready for an adventure.
So how did the kids respond when you told them about the hike?
It was actually an open discussion for like months before we left. Everyone knew I wanted to do a through hike. I already showed a video because there's a film about Hexatrack. So I showed that to the kids. We could be doing that one day, maybe. Like we could decide to do that. What would you think about it? Because we want to have their insight, even though they had no idea what would happen. Like a
Good.
child that young cannot comprehend what we're asking of them. But they saw the picture, they saw it was nice. My oldest is actually the most adventurous kid you have ever met. So it was like, yes, I want to go and hike mountains because we hiked with them before. They know what it is to summit and that kind of thing. My daughter, she likes comfort. So she was like, nope, staying with dad home. She's like, no, no, you can hike and I'm just going to take the car and meet you in town. So she was less, happy about the idea. And then our 4 years old was like, I'm fine. I just love adventure. I don't want to go to school anyway. Let's go
Yeah.
on an adventure.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So really different from one to another.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I assume the 8-month-old didn't have much of an opinion one way or the other.
Sort of. He didn't.
Can you imagine having spent 40% of your life out on the trail?
Yeah. It's,
That's a
it's
long
it's
time.
crazy when you think about it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Well, how did
Because
how
he learned walking on the Hexatrack. He learned so many things. He learned
yeah,
to, block and talk a little bit now. He's saying a
amazing.
few,
That's
sounds.
amazing. How did the start of the trail, just in that first phase of the trail, how did it meet your expectations or surprise you? Um,
Well, I listened to your podcast before, so I did love the podcast with the three dads and then the three moms and the three
oh,
dads,
good.
and everyone was saying how amazing it was. Like, I want to keep my expectation low. I've been willing to do this for so many years, just don't have so many expectation because I didn't want to be disappointed. I also had the same idea then Danny, how do you pronounce her name? One of the mother, anyway, to, just do 1 month not quit, and you're going to be miserable, and it's fine. It's the first month. If you can do that, you can, assess afterwards. Like, should we keep going? So that's what we said as family, We didn't even buy the app. We didn't even buy the whole trail. I started with the free version, like the first 100
Oh, that's
kilometers. And
great.
yeah, I was like, I don't want to know. We're just going to see, like, one day at a time. And we said as a family, we will not stop before the first month.
Mhm.
We don't have any idea about where we will be, how many kilometers a day we need to be. I don't actually care about that. Let's just see if we can walk on a daily basis and see how it goes.
Mhm.
So no expectation whatsoever. But we were ready to spend 6 months walking.
How did you, in that first phase, how did you decide when you were done for the day?
Oh my God, we were so exhausted.
Oh, okay.
No, we were carrying, actually the first day we started around 2 p.m. and we aimed to go to the first hut, who is not that far away, 7 kilometers away. The very first hut you can stop at. And we arrived there. It was, I don't know, maybe 5 p.m. already. It was time to stop. We were very, very tired.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Because we actually had no training whatsoever. I know so many thru-hikers run, hike, do how many miles a day. We just didn't walk at all. I was on maternity leave, and it was the end of winter. It was end of April when we left. I didn't train at all. No sports, no whatsoever. It was just, we're gonna walk, and when we're tired, we stop.
Yeah.
So same for my husband. So no training whatsoever. And after 7, 10, 12 kilometers, usually it was time to stop for the first few days.
Hmm. And in terms of a resupply schedule, in terms of planning, you were just playing everything by ear.
Well, yes and no. We thought, let's be very, very like cautious about food and always have enough. And the first resupply when you go southbound is 50 kilometers away. So like worst case scenario, we can only walk 10 kilometers a day. And we had 5 days worth of food when we left.
Wow.
Doesn't it? Yeah. And that's what we did. And it took us 4.5 days because we were very slow, taking it one day at a time and getting our legs used to walking. And my back was just killing me at first because I was carrying the baby and my husband was carrying all that food. So obviously we didn't have any ultralight backpack or whatever. It was no way we could have been fast, sorry. So yeah, 10, slowly up to 12 kilometers a day, and then, happy when we hit 15 kilometers a day. But we were just slow, yeah.
Yeah. And this is, I would say, I'll just say this to kind of orient the US
Yeah, sorry,
listeners
I don't know in miles.
is
I should have.
no, 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 no. I will stay in kilometers. I'm thoroughly converted. I really like kilometers and meters. I don't know if I like meters better, but I like kilometers. Like they're fun to think about. But no, the orientation would be that first section of the Hexatrack going southbound. It reminded me a lot of Georgia and North Carolina and Virginia, kind of the southeast United States.
Yeah,
But what was so unique about it for me, and I wonder if it delighted your kids the same way it did me, probably not, but there's all these old castles and chateaus everywhere, and you just are like, what on
everywhere.
earth is this going on? Like, did
Yeah,
they
so true.
enjoy that about
They
the
loved it.
sport?
So usually, like, I would have the app and I would say, in 2 kilometers, there is a castle. There we'll get a snack. And like, yeah, let's go. Let's get to the castle. And sometimes I'm like, can we visit it? So we did it a few times, but there's so many of them. Like, oh my God, if we
It's
visit
true.
them all, we will just never finish this trek,
I know it's true.
And towers you need to climb and go up and
Hmm.
down. And I mean, it was very exciting for them. And so yes, we did that, and usually there were a point where we could have a break or
Yeah.
just sleep next to it, and that was really, there are 2 kilometers, then 4, and it would just, give some rhythm to the day, not just hiking through a forest forever. It was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Vosges, that whole section in the all is it Alsace? How do you say that? That
In
region?
French,
Yes.
Oh, Alsace, yeah,
Alsace.
Alsace,
Yeah, the
Vosges,
Alsace.
Alsace, Vosges. We actually love it. It's we are from Belgium, so it's the closest mountains we have. So when we want to have some mountains, that's where we go hiking.
Okay. Yeah, that
So
was
we knew
really,
about
really
it. We
wonderful.
knew it. Yeah, we loved it. It's my daughter's favorite section.
So, yeah, that's
Yeah,
neat.
because it's also so easy. There's water so often, the huts everywhere. You can always have some kind of shelter if you need to. So it's really, really easy. I think for families who want to hike in that section, this first section is so easy to hike with kids.
Would be a great
That's
place to
just
start. Were there lots of did you have lots of ticks when you were there? Or
no,
oh,
none whatsoever. I know so many people had. We didn't. We had one. It was at the end of the first section. Like my daughter had one teeny tiny and one of my son had one, but that's it. We never had
wow.
ticks.
It's
Yeah, I know.
possible that Georgie and I picked them up all of them up on the
Yeah,
way
I think
through.
so.
Maybe.
Because I saw your video, I was like, oh my God. How can they have so many ticks? We just don't have any. Because we left one day after you, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, and then you did it straight through southbound. You did it the appropriate way
Yeah.
instead of like Georgie and I bouncing all around, but you then entered
Yeah,
the
but it's because of the snow that we had
That's
to.
true. Yeah, we had to. We had the Alps.
Safety
We were going
first.
to go into the Alps. This is just, I did not, I did such a poor job planning. You mentioned that other show, the other podcast that we did with the lady, the other three, the mothers and the fathers then. And every time I listened to both of those families, both the Bennetts and the Nettebergs, I think, I did it wrong. I did everything wrong. I always listen to them
No,
talking.
we're
I'm like,
just a
oh
different
my goodness,
experience.
very different styles. And every time I would set out, like we would do another trail, and I would think, I'm gonna incorporate all those things I'm hearing from the Bennetts. They do it so right. And every time we would get started, I'd be like, nope, we're doing it our way. And it'd be
We
so
are doing
different.
it over.
And
Yeah,
you know,
one way or nothing.
yeah. Well, just wait till your youngest is 17 and you're hiking with just your youngest. You'll be it's going to be terrible because you'll be fighting to keep up the whole time. That's what it was like all summer for
I'm
me.
already fighting to keep up with my 9 years old, so I don't even want to know what it's gonna
I
be
know.
when he's 11 or 13.
Did you
The
did you
actually,
did your 9-year-old carry all his own weight?
yeah,
Oh, super.
yeah, he carried all of his stuff, and then a double person kills, and then two
Mhm.
mattresses
Oh,
and
wow.
water. So yeah, he
Wow.
carried so much. He was like,
Oh,
and sometimes was hard for. He was like, "Give me more."
wow. That's
He
amazing.
would he would actually pick skulls, like
Hmm.
huge skulls we could find on the way, and I was like, "What do you want to do with it? Carry it to town and send it back home." So he had sometimes, I don't know, 10 to 12 kilos on his backpack because he was just take sticks and rocks and everything on his
Oh,
backpack
that's
and still
amazing.
be way
Yeah.
further than where you would be.
Yeah. What a beautiful place. So then you entered I guess you entered the Alps. You must have entered the Alps ahead of us, of Georgie and I.
Yeah, we entered the Alps and it was June, I think. Yeah, June. We did the Alps in yeah, June, because the Tour du Mont Blanc was already with so many people, and yet it was not a high season.
Yes. What everybody think of the Alps?
In our family, you mean? Well, we loved it, but we also, in one of the first time, it's just great memory because we met other Hexatracker who we actually hiked with for a few days. So I
Yeah.
know that. So in a through hike, usually it happens often. You get what you guys call bubbles or something like that, and you meet people and you hike with other through hiker. As a family, especially with young children, it's very hard because we were so slow compared to anyone. Sometimes, like, we could do 15 or 17 kilometers, and an adult alone could do 20 just in the morning, just like you guys. And so nobody wants to be that slow and stay with us, except in the Alps. Some did. And we spent a week or so with just great hikers, and it was amazing memory.
Oh, that's neat. And
We
did you
just loved it.
bivouac everywhere, all the way through the Alps, or did you stay in refuges?
No, we bivouacked mainly, except when it was forbidden. In some areas, it was forbidden, just when we missed each other in Vanoise. Uh, so there we didn't. And when the weather was really too bad, then we
Yes.
in Europe have the luxury to have so many high mountain refuge. So we stayed
Mm-hmm.
there.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Was that so? One of the things that I would say is, and I wonder about that as a consideration for a family, is the weather is, I think, a genuine consideration as you move through the Alps, both the Alps and the Pyrenees. Um, it was not such a big problem, I thought, for Georgie and I, because our range was far enough that we could time it to get over a pass and down the other
Yes.
side. But if you're climbing with children, it seems like you could really um, have have more of a complicated consideration for afternoon thunderstorms or
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I think it's a few factors actually, because first off, you don't have any signal sometimes. So you leave in the mountain for 2, 3, 4 days, and maybe Monday is gonna be a storm, but you don't have really good information, and you couldn't have up-to-date information. So you just are in the mountains, and sometimes they thunder, and you need to find shelters. And we did stay in a bunker for like 3 hours waiting for thunder to pass. But also, we work on resupplies. We know we have to be there in like 4 days or 5 day maximum. If we stay 2, 3 hours in a bunker, it's half of a walking time that we're missing. So indeed, it's complicated. Like, okay, we need to do some math. Who is gonna eat what? But we have always carried more food than we needed. I don't think we ever arrived in town with no food, because you carry your fears, and or is worse to not be able to feed our children. So we had so much food all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
But indeed, it is more complicated, especially, yeah, there was a heat wave. Some hikers would hike at 4 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. Like, there's no way I'm gonna wake up my kids at like 3 a.m. to start hiking.
yeah,
It's gonna be just a miserable day if we have to do that for a week or so. One day would be fine, but not a week. So it took us more time. Yeah, you need to just be prepared to take it slower than others, and sometimes have to wait for a storm to pass and
hmm.
stay in a shelter or in a hut. There are so many of them.
Where did you kind of find in the Alps? Well, it's so different. I think I should say this, like, at least it's not similar to our trails in the sense that you can kind of get a gauge on what you can expect out of your daily miles. Like I could say on the PCT, I could expect a certain number of miles once I'm up to speed and get my trail legs.
Mhm.
I felt like in Europe, I had no gauge on that. I almost began
It
to
was
talk.
horrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost Georgie and I
It,
started thinking of it in terms of meters of gain. So we'd say we're good for about 3,000 to 3,200 meters of gain in a day. And we didn't want to go more than that. So that could be, we don't care, 40 miles, or it could be 20 miles.
yeah, we thought it would be that way,
Hmm.
but our kids were so resilient. Actually, if it's flat, but maybe listeners don't know the Hexatrack, but the Hexatrack is so technical almost all of the time. There's not just a small and nice trail for a few days. It's often up a mountain, down a mountain, up a mountain, down a mountain. So we usually hiked for between 15 to 20 kilometers a day, whatever the elevation, whatever the technicity, because it's so technical all of the time, actually.
Right, right, right.
But I mean, I was wondering, like, how many miles or kilometer could they hike if it was completely flat, but it just never happened.
Yeah.
So I have no clue how many miles they could hike on a flat surface, or just a road. I guess a lot more. But we noticed on average they could hike 17 kilometers and up to 1,500 meters of elevation.
Hmm.
Sometimes I think the more we did was 1,800 up and down. So
Hmm.
almost 2,000 up and down. They could do a bit more, but I didn't want to just have them too
And
tired, because we had to do that every day sometimes.
that's right.
That
And
was
it's
that was so hard.
it's
Just not once.
complicated for us. And maybe this is something we were supposed to figure out and know, and maybe you knew, was I couldn't figure out the schedules of the grocery stores. Sometimes they'd show up and they'd say, "Oh, it's Monday. Why
Oh,
would you think we'd be open?"
nothing
And
is open in front. No, what we decided at first was we're not gonna depend on what they call épicerie, so the very small stores in town, only like the
hmm.
big supermarkets.
Yes.
Besides supermarkets, we just don't stress the hours. We just
Okay,
don't.
good. That was wise.
So we never relied on them.
Okay, that's very wise. I think that would help
And I
a
don't
lot of
think we ever
people.
saw an open one, so it was a good decision to not rely on them.
I know, very, very interesting. Georgie and I really, really changed up our resupply expectations quite a bit. Like I did not know. What would you say was did you have a typical trail meal that you built out of the stores?
Where we changed the way we ate, because at first we like breakfast would be porridge or muesli. We also bought powdered milk so we can have milk with it. And lunch would be wraps or fresh bread usually, if it was possible, with stuff to put on it. Except, as I told you, we're slow, so you could resupply it every 2 days and have some ham or cheese, whatever, for 2 days. In our case, it usually resupply every 5 days, something like that. So ham was not the thing that good after a few days. And so we relied on tuna cans and mayonnaise, that kind of things for lunch, and dehydrated meals at dinner. Because I started dehydrating meals before we left. I said, you know what, let's dehydrate some meals before we leave. I have a machine that can do it. And I did the first 5 days or so. And when we left, my mother-in-law said, do you want me to start dehydrating? I was like, I'm not going to request that of you. It's so much work. She was like, I would be happy to do it. Like, really? Happy? Absolutely. So she actually dehydrated at least 3/4 of her meals.
Yeah.
And she would send them to us. So we had boxes of food arriving in some cities or towns with dehydrated meals that she prepared. So we ate very well.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. That's really fun.
That makes a huge difference. Otherwise, it's feasible. It just, in terms of nutrition, especially for growing kids and the baby, would not be, the best healthy diet you could have.
Yeah, yeah, and really, really was beautiful. Actually, let me shift gears a little bit. I am interested in, like, this is not a popular kid trail. I did not see a lot of children out there,
There are no
and
children.
yours was such a unique, like, to how did people respond to and interact with your kids? What was it like with the people you met
Well,
along the way?
mostly, like 99% of the time, people are like, "Oh, you're going like on an adventure. Where are you going? How far are you going?" Because they just think we're just going up a mountain and sleep and then go back home. And like, did you spend the weekend in the mountains? Yeah, the weekend, So it was, because there is no way. I know in the US, it's more popular to have children outside and in the outdoors for a few days and sleeping outside and bivouac and that kind of thing. It's not common at all in Europe, like in France and in Belgium, something we don't do. So usually they would not even think about us sleeping in the mountains, as I say, in the wild, like in a tent. Yes, in a tent. So people really like, really? And that was something. Sometimes they ask, like, how did they get here? Because especially if you go in some of the trail is technical, and you have to pass, like, go through a few paths that are very hard and demanding and long, and you arrive somewhere else where there's no way you can get except through that pass. And some people would ask us, like, how did they get here? Like same way. But they were really, no, there must be another way. You didn't take that one. That's not the one you took. Well, yes, it is. But it's really hard for them to, think and understand that we did the same thing they did.
Yeah.
We hiked the same way. And that was very hard for them to, assimilate. Sometimes what was complicated for them to understand is, okay, you're doing the Hexatrack, I get that, but you're not doing it like in one time. You're doing stage 1 and then stage 2 and next summer stage 3. Nope. We've been hiking for 4 months. Oh, really? So really, most of the times they're completely surprised.
Yeah.
And people who don't know what we're doing, we're just seeing us in the mountains, are like, that's so nice. That's so amazing. Let me take a picture to show my wife it's possible. Let me take a picture to show my grandchild it's possible. So most of the time, people would ask to take a picture of us to prove to others that their kids could be in the mountains too. So it was very nice.
Have any of the people that you met along the way who met your children, have they reached out and like, do you think that there are people that will, having met you, consider hiking it,
I
the
think so.
Hexatrack?
Yes.
That's really neat.
Yeah, because some of us have been asking about it on Instagram in the
Uh-huh.
meantime, like, okay, not only did you want to do it, but you finished it, because nobody believed you would finish it. Like, yeah, maybe we'll do stage 2. We'll see about the
Uh-huh.
Alps, you know? And
Uh-huh.
then you finish the Alps. And the stage, for those who don't know, stage 2 and 3 are in the high mountains, and then stage 4 is a bit easier. And then stage 5 and 6 are again in the high mountains. And when we finished the first section of the high mountains, they were like, well, okay, you did that, but still, you have to go through the Pyrenees now. And nobody would believe in us, like, all of the time, you know, well, but this is still, you still have a hard, come on, we already hiked so much. So,
The place where I was most nervous for you was actually not either of the high mountain places, but was going through the gorges in the time of year that you went. Because when Georgie and I went, it was so hot, and we thought,
oh my
this
God,
is
it was so
early.
hot.
How did your
Yeah, we
kids
went
deal
in
with the heat?
August. We melted.
Well, so for those that don't know, you start in the Vosges, that's a nice height, and then you go into the Alps, and that's high mountains, and then you drop into the gorges, and it is low, and it is hot, and it's beautiful, but it is hot and pretty
Hot, yeah.
remote.
And pretty remote, that's true. Well, I guess the interesting part is that there are almost always rivers you
Hmm.
can swim in. And that saved us. We could swim and refresh along the way. So we had a lot of swim break to to refresh and finish. Started a little bit earlier because it was August at the time. We had one heat wave where we decided not to hike because it was just too dangerous. The temperature was just way too high. Because my mother-in-law came actually with us for a week with her
Hmm.
RV when we
Oh,
did the
wow.
gorge. Yeah, she came with her RV and she was like, do you want me to keep the kids for a day and you could hike with your husband and we could meet 20 kilometers away? And I was like, it would be so fun to just hike the two of us. But it was in the middle of the heat wave. And we even decided that we didn't want to do that, even alone.
That's
Like,
right.
nope,
Oh,
we're
that's
just going to
great.
wait it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, to go back to your first question, indeed, now that we have finished, some people have been asking about, you know, how and what motivates the kid, how do you keep them motivated, that kind of thing. And they're willing to do the Hexatrek and they thought it was impossible, but now they have seen us, they're like, okay, maybe it is possible. And that's very,
Hmm.
very nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I do think, even as I sort of reflect on the Hexatrack, I think if I were a family from the States, it would be a place that I might consider taking. If I were going to only do one ever, it really has a lot of good variety, and it has that cultural um, interaction that also sort of adds an element of intrigue to it as well. So it
Yeah,
really
it's
would
true,
be fun.
especially if you come from the US. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But you need to be ready, as I told you, for a lot of elevation gain and loss and some technical terrain, even though it's almost always possible to take another route. You don't have to go through that very technical pass. You could go a bit lower for a few days and not take that many technical paths
Were there
if it's
were
something.
were there any of those that you considered not taking with your kids?
No, I always said, because you said about the three families, like, let's go. And if you don't feel comfortable, be wise enough to go back and not do it. And it only happened once. We had to go back because of strong winds. The
Hmm.
Canigou you talked about. You
Oh
have
yeah.
to walk in the ridge for a few hours. And the wind was so, so strong. I thought I would not fly away because I have the baby carrier, and then the wind can come in. It was so
Yeah.
hard for me to
Yeah.
stay on my 2 feet. I was like, nope. This time we just go back and we try again tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. If I were to ask the kids who they got to meet on the trail, are there people that just would stand out to them as people that they really just loved getting to interact with?
Oh, there are so many of them. We met so many nice people, but mostly other hikers because we stay with them the most. We stayed with some trail angels sometimes they just love, but some hikers, they just they were so sad when we had to say goodbye, because that's
The kids
the
were,
hard
yeah.
part as well. You meet some people that you see for a few days, and some of them we saw a few times, for different reason, and it's like a phone call now, or just someone they really love, and they're like, could we send them a video? Could we send them a picture?
Oh, that's
So
great.
we're very fortunate to have met many, many nice people.
Yeah. Well, I just would interject this. This is fun for us. For us, one of those couples was Columbus and Blue Bear were their trail names, and they live in France. And so for me, Georgie and I got to stay with them this summer. And for Georgie, who was 11 at the time of our first through hike, they were that was a couple that they felt that way about, that they were just
Oh, that's so
we
nice.
would run to every trail log and open it and say, where's Columbus and Blue Bear? Where's their
Oh,
name?
nice.
And then
But
here we
it,
all these years later we got to hike with them again.
oh, that's so nice, because sometimes actually the days we hike the most is when they wanted to get back to some hikers that
Yeah.
were, further away. One time it was Basil was his name. We met him during the day, and he was like, "Well, maybe I'm gonna go over there," but it was way too far for us, like 5 kilometers more than what we usually did. And we arrived at a place, great time to stop. It was really late enough, flat spot. And it's like, no, we still have so much energy. I'm like, how on earth can you have so much energy? But they knew, they're like, no, we're going to him. He's over there. It's only 5 kilometers away. Let's just go. And they had so much energy. And it happened a few times. Like one day it was, I think it was almost 6:30 p.m. We could have stopped there. It was late enough, time to eat and go to bed. So like, no, the others are decamping at 6 kilometers away. I was like, 6 kilometers away. Can you, I mean, but it was road.
Yes.
It was a road, but they were just so happy to be again with those they met. And that's amazing part on the trail, is to meet people. And
So Georgie and I, obviously we skipped past the Alps and then did the gorges and the Pyrenees. And so in some way we did the Pyrenees, which we did the high route Pyrenees, which is crazy, but it was hard enough that we only had the Alps to look forward to and ahead. Um, did any of and this is very common, I would say this, like I think this is helpful for families who are considering walking this kinds of distance, is
um,
um, people will warn you about things that are coming and doubt you and express that doubt. And
yeah,
sometimes it's good to listen to, and sometimes it's not, and it's hard to know the difference. The Pyrenees probably is a little bit like that. Like it's the last thing and it's the biggest thing, and they are different. They are steep.
they
Like
are
like
different.
I've
Yeah.
never hiked anything like that. And I've hiked
That seat
a number of
was
places.
crazy.
Incredibly
Yeah.
steep, incredibly technical. We walked a boulder field on the high route that was about
There's
2
still
miles,
forever.
2 miles of a boulder field. And I just think, any misstep, and it's very nerve-wracking. Was there, how did you interact with that kind of what I would call fear mongering, and anticipation of that, and and like how did you work through that with yourself? Did the kids seem affected? Like how did you deal with those
Okay,
questions?
so
Because there really are questions of safety. There are questions of
there are
genuine
questions.
concern.
Yeah, yeah.
So
True.
how do you interact with that? And I think the Hexatrack is unique because it is the last thing. The last thing is the hardest thing, and it's always sitting out there, sort of waiting for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the last thing waiting for you, like, yeah, okay, you did that, but can you do this?
That's right.
Well, I've always said a bit like, it's just one step at the time. And at
Hmm.
one point, if we don't feel comfortable enough, we just go back.
Hmm.
So the one time I was a bit worried is, you mentioned the gorge. It's not even the Pyrenees. You mentioned the gorge, and you have to check online about the river level,
Hmm.
because you have to cross twice a river,
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
you have to check that online. And if you want to bivouac, you have to book the bivouac place. So I checked online, and I checked online the website when you can see river level, and it was nice according to what I understood, how they measure it, whatever. It's kind of complicated, but to me it was okay. And I go on the website when you can book the bivouac, and there in red it's written it's not safe to cross. I'm like, did I misunderstand something? Because I don't want to cross with my kids if it's not safe, obviously. So it was too late to call them. And I said to my husband, you know what? We're going to have to sit here tomorrow because if we have to do this section, we need to leave early. And the tourism information only opens around 10 a.m. So it's too late to start walking anyway. So we have to take a day off to have the information and be sure we can go there. I called this lady and she was very nice. And I told her, it's about my kids' safety. And she asked, how old are your kids
Oh,
that you
no.
want to do that?
Oh,
And that's not a good question. I know. So only said, well, 9, because 1 is 9, so I'm not really lying.
that's right.
And she said, oh, he's way too young to do that section,
Oh,
that part.
no.
So I stopped there. I was like, what do you mean? And it's very technical. It's too hard for 9 years old. It's too dangerous. And she said, like on Monday, a few days ago, they had to call the firefighters to go and get a 10 years old because she was too tired, too difficult. So really just don't do it. And then at that time I was like, is it that technical? Like we're taking a 4 years old where she says like a 10 shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And at that moment, it's very hard because all kids are not the same. Some 4 years old can hike very well, some others cannot. Same for 10 years old. It's same for everyone. But you know your kids the best. So it got me thinking, should we do this part or should we just skip or through another route, whatever? And what I did is actually, I told you about the people we met in the Alps. They hiked with my kids, all of them. They know what they're capable of. Alps were complicated enough, so I asked them, like, how is this section? They were further away. What do you think? Is it feasible for them? And they're like, of course it is feasible.
Oh, that's
Don't you
great.
worry. So I felt like I can listen to them way more than some lady that doesn't know us at all.
Yeah.
And if it's too hard, we just stop and go back. It's fine.
Yeah. I will say my expectation of that section was that it would not be hard because I looked at the map
Yeah, me
and I
too.
thought it would not be
That's
hard.
why I was
And
so
it was
surprised.
it was
Oh my God,
it was a
so
long
hard.
day. Like we did it all in one day and it was a long day. And those river crossings when we did, they were up around our thigh level and it was very high.
Size of
And so it was
pen.
very
Yeah.
those were it wasn't even that hard or didn't ever feel that dangerous. It just never ended. You were walking across the river
Yeah,
for a long
forever.
time.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
and then I think there were some areas past there where there was some recent rockfall, and so you were having to
Rockfall. It
cross
was,
pretty sharp
yeah, it
boulders
was,
with it.
sharp boulder. It was aerial. You had to, take your hands on those, how do you call that in English? I don't know. Mallevé in French, but
Oh, the cables along the
yeah, all
side.
those
Yeah,
cables and what the lady said, and it was true, it's not made for kid size.
that's
So
right.
for them,
Yeah,
they
that's
would
right.
not be able to actually grab the cables because it's too high, which was true. So we had to take them with us or close to us to be able to pass all of those.
Did you call her back and let her know that 4-year-olds can do it?
No. And I tagged her on Instagram, so I guess she saw. I tagged her, but no, because no, I said it because I post about it on Instagram. Like, this is hard and technical. Just go if you feel your
Yeah,
kids are able to do that kind of
yeah.
thing.
Well, one thing I wondered about later, and I bet if there was a person from the U.S. considering going with the family and was nervous about that section, I wonder if you couldn't take a hitch, and then float that section
You
northbound.
could, but not with kids younger than 7 years old.
Oh,
It's
okay.
forbidden.
So you have to be at least 7. Is that true also on the float on the other side?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
the other one, you can do it with younger kids, but this
Okay.
one, because it's, the river is not that quiet and there's
Yeah.
some section,
Yeah.
then you have to, because you could actually just book a kayak place and go and do it again with a car.
Hmm.
But if your kids are 7 or more, it's
Okay.
possible, not with
Okay.
younger kids.
Well, that's good to know because I was really envious after we
Yeah,
did
me too.
raft. I thought, oh, what a day! I should have gone the other way too.
Me too. I said, why didn't we think of just kayaking this section and just, flip flop? And then I learned it wouldn't have been possible
Yeah,
anyway. Like, how good that
yeah,
I didn't think of it. I would have been disappointed.
yeah. it is not an easy section, and it is good to know that I did not even know that you could book a bivouac ahead of time for that section because in hindsight, like I did not want to walk as far as we walked the day that we
No,
did
you
to
you
get to
can
the rest.
actually bivouac in two different places, but one is way easier in just in the middle of this
Hmm.
complicated section.
Okay.
And if you don't book it beforehand, you can always go there and say, okay, can I sleep tonight and pay
Hmm.
at that moment.
Yeah.
So last minute. So that's something we did. But to answer your question, it's very hard because everyone has an opinion and
Yes,
nobody knows
you
you
do.
better than
That's
yourself.
right. That's right.
So you have to, listen, take consideration of what they're saying, and then take the best possible decision. But
Hmm.
also in the Alps, we were very early with a lot of snow. And sometimes I would ask people who I thought would have the answer. So the refuge skipper, and they're like, I don't know. I think it's okay. Okay, but what do you do with that? They never hiked it actually. So
Yeah.
just don't say anything. Just
Did
say, I don't know.
did your kids have traction devices? Did you have
No, I,
no?
I, oh, I always said like, I don't want to have to need them. So
Okay.
if we need it, let's just skip it. We should have them. It would have been easier because we had so much snow in the end. But never to a point where it was like we were in danger.
Uh-huh.
They loved it. They loved the snow
Yes.
passes. It was their favorite.
Good. Oh,
But
that's neat.
yeah. But still, the refuge steeper, we were very disappointed. We thought they would give good insight about, how is the next section? How do you go to the next refuge? Weather forecast. They had no information whatsoever. So it was really be on your own and see.
Where was Georgie and I came out of? We were on the Spanish side on the GR11 and set to cross back over the range, and we came up the wrong side of a river on the trail side, and then had to cross and ended up in a bad water crossing. And we're just soaked. Like we went into our necks, and it was bad. It was as bad a decision as I've made. And we went to the refuge. We were so excited to get to the refuge and dry out, and it had a sign that had closed in 3 languages. And we thought, this is
Oh
our
my.
experience with refuges because we were early everywhere we went, so they were
Oh
never
yeah.
open. So,
Well,
but
we,
you
we
were
were
you were
very
in
lucky.
season, yeah.
Well, we were very lucky because we arrived in the Alps and it was the first days of the refuge. It was mid-June,
Mm,
so they just
perfect.
opened. And we
Yeah.
finished the Pyrenees. When the last section in high altitude was end of September.
Okay.
And so everywhere was the last week they were open.
Oh wow.
So we really were very, very lucky.
So tell me about the Pyrenees. Did you find the Pyrenees more difficult than the Alps? I mean, I would assume you had different weather for sure.
We had different weather. It was cold. We had snow. We had rain, a lot of rain. We had fog. We couldn't see for a week. So it was very, very hard, especially as it's so steep, just feel it in your legs, but you don't even have the reward of seeing a beautiful,
Right.
beautiful view. Yeah, we just summited it. Let's go down and up and up. So it was hard, but I loved it more
Mm,
because it was wild and so beautiful. What we saw was absolutely amazing, but it was a bit harder. I guess at that point your body is used to hard,
yes.
and it felt in a way easier than the Alps because you know yourself better. You can read the maps differently. You know the elevation you can do. You know the kilometers you can do. You know what's feasible or not. And we were also at some point at the end because it's the two last section. You know how many kilometers left there are, and we felt confident we could actually finish in time. The whole trail, like, can we even finish before winter? We're not even
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah,
we
that would
arrived
be
in
nice.
the Pyrenees, it felt, well, we have 800 or 900 kilometers left. And if we keep walking the piece we've been walking, we're going to be okay and we can finish this time. So the only worry we had was indeed snow, early snow.
Were the shepherds still in the high mountains or were they headed down?
Depends, but many still were. Actually, they are there until October, so many were still up there.
Oh, that's neat. And did you have interactions with the shepherds?
Yeah, we did. There is a hut, well, a few of them. There is a hut that is accessible to hikers right next to to one where they live. So we had a few interactions, and what is super interesting is the way they work, which we didn't know is different from one valley to another. They don't work the same way at all, which we learned during the trek. It's
What was
very
the
fascinating.
what was the difference?
Everything, like the shepherd, the first one we met, it's not their sheeps. So we arrived there next morning. There are like 10 cars coming up, like big jeeps going all the way up. Like, what is happening here? And it's the owner of the sheeps that come in the every 2 weeks, every Sunday, to check on the sheeps and take them down if they're sick or if they need to,
Huh?
let's say, give birth, or I don't
Yeah.
know, not sure. Anyway, they take them down, and I ask her, like, are they not your sheep? No, I'm just taking care of them in the mountain. It's not mine. I just work for 10 different people, and I take care of
Wow.
sheep of 10 other people, which I didn't know. I was like, oh, really?
Wow.
So I thought I
And
knew.
and does she run
Yeah.
her dogs on other people's sheep?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
She
interesting.
just take care of just sheep of 10 different owners.
Mhm.
She works for them. And so every 2 weeks, there's like a work meeting of all sheep owners
That's so cool.
deciding. Yeah, I was like, oh my, I just discovered something. So I thought I knew. And then 2 valleys later, I met like a sheep again, sheep owner. I was like, so that's how you work? It was like, no, not at all. That's my sheep. So I was like, wait. I thought it was not your sheep, the whole story. Oh, it depends on where you are. So it depends on the valley, actually.
Oh yeah, that's really
Yeah.
neat.
And we
W-
learned some.
yeah, were you intentional about the things your children were learning? Like would you try
No.
to teach them? Yeah.
Well, no. Well, two different things. So in Europe, we don't homeschool. So
Hmm.
my kids are not homeschool. They just missed 2 months of school before the holidays, the summer holidays, and they are missing now 2 months of school after the
Okay.
holidays.
Okay.
Um, so, but we did took some math book. So calculus, and they had some calculus lesson we could do. So they just carry that in their backpack, the two oldest at least. So that's the only thing we did intentionally. For the rest, they learned, the trail is the best class you can possibly
It is a
have.
good class. And I
Oh
think
my
that's
God.
more what I mean. I always intended to carry a book that had all the tree names and do tree identification and all
Yeah.
sorts of things like that. And I understand that you do some foraging anyway. So is this something that you were thinking about with your kids, talking about with them? Do you feel like they know things now that they never would have known
Oh,
in that
yes. They
sort?
know so many things now that they wouldn't have, but they always relied on their curiosity.
Hmm.
Like, they ask questions. They ask so many questions, and sometimes I didn't even have the answer. And I was like, you know what? Let's put that in the note, and when we do have internet, we can cross-check and see the answers. Because I just have no idea why this bird does that and this one doesn't, and so many questions they could have, but all of them had different questions. And my 4 years old was so happy to say, like, look, mom, the water did that, because she could see like a stone was a
Yes.
bit, there was some kind of curve.
Uh-huh.
And it was fascinating to him that, I don't know, it takes millions of years to actually work and do a gorge, and oh, that's the water that did that. And to him, that's so interesting. Like, he would never have learned that kind of thing just being home. So yeah, they had question and relied on that. But also, especially this trail, you see so many different things, from castle, as you said, where you can learn about history. There is this museum in the Vosges about the, it's not really a museum, but Second World War II. They had so many questions about that. It took us a few weeks to just talk about it and all of the question about the war. Um, Animals, obviously, languages, people. So many questions. We just answered, and they learned to learn just that way, and that was really enough. I wanted to know about mushrooms. That's the only thing I wish I knew beforehand. Like,
Yes.
can we eat that mushroom? I have no idea, kiddo. Just don't touch it.
You first.
Yeah. That's the only regret I have, I guess. It's being able to eat the mushrooms, because
Yeah,
there were
that
so
would be
many.
great. Yeah, there were a lot. So how about this? From your side, do you feel like this experience has opened a knowledge for you of your children in unique ways that you did not have and would not have otherwise?
Yes, obviously, yes, because I always told them and I told myself it's such a privilege to be with your children 24/7. It's hard in a way because you're never alone. We met some hikers who said, like, it's so hard to be alone. I'm like, I just wish I could be alone for a few hours, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But because, well, we also have 4 kids, so it makes it harder to be alone, obviously. But it's also a privilege to be able to learn about them, what they like, when it's hard, when they get cranky, what is, what was hard and is not hard anymore because they just grew. They grew with you, they grew alongside you. And it's amazing to see the difference from the kids we left with and the one we arrived with. So
Yes,
that
that's
was
really
really,
wonderful. Yeah.
that's absolutely amazing.
Do you think that they grew, do you think that they strengthened in their relationships with each other?
Oh,
Did you
yeah. I
see
said
ways
that with
that
my
that happened?
husband, actually. We talked about that yesterday because we're now for a few days at the beach. So the Hexatrack finished at the ocean. So we have been enjoying the ocean for a few days. And I was just watching them playing together. And I was like, they're so lucky because they're just so lucky to have been able to spend so much time together. We don't have to entertain them. They're just strong together and have a very strong bond that was there before, but still grew so much during the trail.
Mhm.
So that's amazing to see.
I do like about that trail, and I do envy a little bit having done it the consecutive way. What was it like to see the ocean for the first time coming across? That must have been a moment.
It is a moment. It is really a moment. Like, but the first time we saw it, we were surprised because it was 200 or more from the end, but we were so high in the mountains and it was a great, great view. And I was like, oh my God, there is the ocean.
Hmm.
Like for real, we can see it, but it was still very, very far away.
Yes.
And then you arrive and it's almost there. But what got us the most emotional was actually the last little yellow, how do you call that? Metal thing where it's written how many kilometers of,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
how do you call that? You know?
I don't know, a mile marker, a trail marker,
Yeah,
is
mile
it?
marker where it was written Andai, which is the last city you have to go. And I was like, that's it. It's like, it's the
Yeah.
last one. It's written.
Yeah,
It's right there.
we did it.
So it is, yeah. Oh my God, it's there. So it
That's
is very,
great.
very emotional for everyone to
Yeah.
finally see the ocean and feel like you can actually grab it.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
wow, that's wonderful. I'm really glad to catch you, especially in this moment, like where you're kind of still in that like celebration of it. What a neat thing.
Yeah,
It's really
we
wonderful.
arrived 10 days ago, so it is very fresh.
And 3,000 kilometers is a long way.
Yeah, it's a long way. It
Yeah,
is a
what a
long.
great it really is. It is a wonderful trail. I think we talked about that a little bit before we started, but it's so different than my own experience. I did not know what to expect. It's almost it's 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 very unique, and I do think that if someone went with the expectation of almost doing a tour of a place and having a cultural experience, I think that it elevates that
That's
sort of.
absolutely perfect. Yeah. And so well, we had the chance of speaking French because we're a French speaker, and we stayed with Trail Angels and saw also the difference between all different kinds of family, from those living in very small villages,
Yeah.
trying to that never had a bank loan and did almost build a teeny tiny house in the middle of the
Hmm.
mountains, to
Hmm.
some other family living at the border of Switzerland and being, very having a lot of money, just
Yeah.
being in this completely different lifestyle, and still they're all French, and you could really breathe and live within those different kind of family and see how
Hmm.
diverse one region is from the other, and then meet a shepherd, and it was amazing experience to do with children.
Yes. Yeah, that really is
You're
wonderful.
not in your own bubble with the same kind of people you're usually with. It just, you discover the world, and that's very, very different to be able to do that.
Yes, it is. And I think the thing that I finally, when unfortunately I was doing our Instagram post 2 weeks behind, and so you came you came in with perfect advice that I wish I'd known 2 weeks before about how to recharge my phones. We were so lost. We spent 2 weeks, like, we'd get into town and it felt like the whole time we were scrambling to try to figure out how to get into and out of town, and trying to just find, please, someone let us charge our phones. That's all we want. And then I
Please
think
let us do that.
I know, and we were not good at. I wish we had known more French, but I did finally learn that a good way to do it was to just sort of assume, uh, uh, to definitely anticipate and smile. And I would say, "Je suis un clown," to everyone. I would just say, let me start by something self-deprecating, and then maybe we can work past that. But anyway, it was
Right.
complicated for me and for Georgie. We really did have a harder time. I can imagine that being able to speak French would be a lot better. Georgie and I speak enough Spanish that by the time we got to the Pyrenees, we would drop over that side of the range almost
Okay. And speak
exclusively.
Spanish with
Yes,
people.
and speak Spanish. But I do think that that would be something. The two things I always learn after a trail, the things I would want to know before a trail, and among those are I would really work on my French before I went, and let's see, what else would I learn for that trail? Oh, I would do some history. Like I would study a lot of history
Yeah.
before I went,
Studying
especially for
history.
the Vosges. Like I think the Vosges is like
Yeah. All
full of
those paths.
really neat history. So how about
That's
you?
true.
What would you tell yourself? Like, let's say you're about to begin this trail again. What would you tell yourself that you didn't know before you went?
Oh, which I didn't know. I don't know, because it was amazing to learn along the way. I don't know if I
You,
would have wanted to.
you might have known
Also,
less and actually gotten to discover more.
but also I do speak French, which indeed makes it easier,
Yeah.
and I'm not scared to ask services or ask for help. So I've always been like that. I don't think my husband would have been that comfortable
Okay.
asking for help sometime, because he's an introvert and he doesn't like to disturb people. Because we were once at the end, we were with one hiker actually, and he had like a huge backpack. And I told him, dude, just go back to town and send yourself everything you don't need. You're never going to make it. Well, I didn't say it like that, but it was just advice. And next morning was, I should go back indeed. And he had to hitchhike. And it was not that far away from town, like 10 minutes, I think. And there were one car every hour. It was like, I only saw one car and he was not going the right direction. I told him, you know what, next one, just ask them if it just can go back. And he told me, would you ask that to someone? Yes, I would ask that to someone. Could you please take me back 10 minutes away? I know it's not the right direction, but I really do need a service.
Yeah.
So I would say that to myself, just that, and I don't care if bivouac is forbidden or not, because at first not everyone knows, but there's an app which tell you, okay, here it's supposed to be forbidden, it's red, you should not bivouac, and here it's green. And sometimes we would stop ourselves, like this is a flat spot, we're still in the green, but if we go further away, we will be in a red zone, we're not supposed to bivouac, and it's too far away for us to just go further. I would just not think like that. I would just let's go and see where we can sleep and ask someone if we can use their garden. That we learned along the way, and I
Yeah.
wish we have done
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah. People were friendly, very friendly in that way.
Especially just in villages, very teeny
Yeah.
tiny villages. You can just
Yeah.
ask, is there a place I can put my tent?
Uh-huh.
Would you mind?
Yeah.
And usually they would. That's the one thing. Okay, I have a second one because you
Okay,
asked two
good.
things.
You can have
I have a
three.
Garmin. I have a Garmin InReach. I never used because it's not something I guess you noticed. No one has that in Europe.
Mhm.
It's very American, I guess, to have a Garmin InReach or any kind of satellite. We do, and I always thought, just in case we need that, it's there. And then I discovered you can actually have weather forecasts, which
Yes.
I didn't really check beforehand, because for me it's like an SOS kind of device. If there's a problem, you have something, but there's weather forecasts. And in so many occasions, we had no communication system, no way of knowing, is there a storm coming? Is there thunder coming? Should we go up or should we not? And you could have checked my Garmin, and that I learned along the way. I wish I could have known before.
Yes. That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Because really, it was there, and I only started using the weather forecast, I think, in the Pyrenees. So it took me a while to, well, wait a second. this
Hmm.
thing gives the weather.
Oh,
And I had no idea.
and the
And we
Pyrenees.
were just looking at the sky, wondering if this dark cloud is coming our way or not, which is kind of stupid.
It is amazing. It is all, it is also very exposed, and sometimes you can even see a clear blue sky on the way up to a pass, and
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
time you get there, that thunder comes in. It's
Well, at
terrifying.
the
It is,
time, yeah,
oh,
it
it's
is
something.
scary weather.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember the name of the pass. It was actually a very indicative name of danger. But Georgie and I went to the top of a pass and rested right before the top of the pass because she was really worn out. It was the one day she was more tired than me on a climb, and we got to the
The
top,
only
and
one.
there was thunder just right on top of us, and we got over the top, and it was all hail, like there was a hailstorm right over the top, and it was just miserable. But it is hard. That's one complicated thing, and I did notice though that it was pretty exclusive to the afternoons that were the most
Yeah.
significant weather systems, and
Well,
so
we were in thunder a few times, unfortunately. We had to, and sometimes you're just in it and you have to keep
mhm.
walking.
Yes, yeah.
We
Were the
were
kids
actually
nervous, or were you more nervous?
no, they were not that nervous.
Okay.
Usually my son is not, he's the oldest one. He's an adventurous one, I told you, and he's not scared of anything. So
Yeah,
thunder, not
yeah.
scared.
That's great.
My daughter, she would speak anxiety if she feels I could be scared, for example. She can feel it, and so she gets scared. Like she can see, like, we'll not show it. We'll not say, okay, guys,
Uh-huh.
we'll not show anxiety because
Yeah.
you need to be the safe parents, but she can still feel it and, in a way, be a bit scared. But usually in bad weather, she would start crying a few times because it's hard. She would be cold. Like, I'm so cold. Yeah, we're almost there, kiddo. Let's just go for it. But they were not that scared. They were really, one time it was scary.
Uh-huh.
And we knew a storm was coming, but there were huts every 2 or 3 kilometers. So we're like, you know what? We can do that. The next one is 4 kilometers away. And the only reason we left is that we met some not so nice hikers, which almost never happened, but we arrived in a hut. It was a big one. Like they could have 10 or 15 people. We arrived there mid-afternoon, and one guy came and said, yeah, well, we're a group and it's already 5 of us. And we're like, well, fine, there's room, so we don't really care. And we were with some friends at the time. And then another one came back because we were inside having a snack. It was 3 p.m. or so. And he came just wearing underwear and telling us, you guys are making way too much noise. It's 3 p.m. I'm having a nap. Could you please shut up?
Mm.
And we were just like, this is not your house. Like, what kind of, it was so weird. We decided, you know what, there's another hut 4 kilometers away. Let's go for it. Except we had to go up, up, up. It was
Oh,
so hard. And it started hailing on
oh
us.
no.
And I asked my husband, should we just go back before we go up? And it was like, we're completely soaked anyway. Just let's keep going.
That's right.
We, we were hiking with a couple, and she asked the exact same thing to her husband, like, should we keep going? And he said, well, we're soaked anyway. So we
That's
just
right.
all went. But the hut was, on some kind of plateau, completely exposed, like the worst place you want to be when there's thunderstorm. And we were there, and that's the only time I was actually scared because
Yeah.
you're on a plateau and there's thunder coming at you. You can see them all around. You're like, let's just let's be fast, kids. Now it's time to just keep
Yeah.
hiking.
Yeah.
We're cold and miserable, but we want to be alive today and at the end of the day. So now we're just gonna go very fast.
Yeah.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was not a clever move to go away.
That's great. So, I know you're just recently finished, but everyone's gonna be asking you, and how are you gonna respond when they say, "All right, what's next?"
I don't know. I feel like I could have hiked forever almost. My knees are not so okay about that idea. What would have been very nice, but for real, if our bikes were ready, I think we would have biked home.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would have been very nice.
yeah,
That I think I could have had everyone in for the adventure to just, go by foot to south of France and then go back up to Belgium with the bikes. That would have been very nice, but unfortunately, I need to go back to work, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need some money for the next adventure, you know?
There you
Uh,
go. There you go.
but I
How
really do
fun.
want to, yeah, to through hike the Caucasus one day. So I guess that would be something that's still on my mind, and I wish I could do. The American through hike have always been also something I wish I could do, but I've always been worried that there were so many peoples on trail compared to what I like. I like wild and quiet trails, so I'm not sure the AT or the PCT that there might be too many people. I don't
Southbound.
know. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That solves your problem.
Yeah,
That's
that's
great. Well,
a
I really am enamored with the idea of what you said about getting to watch your kids out there playing together. Like, I think there really is something to um, inviting your kids into that kind of a thing. One time, my oldest was asked about the trail, how she got along with her sisters, and she said, "Well, I mean, of course we fight, but they're the only people that I have, so we had to make up." And I think there's really
that's
something neat
super.
about getting them into that place where they have to engage with their own boredom and work through it together and gain an appreciation for each other. Um, and
That
that,
and how
that,
much they helped each other along
yeah,
the way. I
yeah,
was amazed to see, how they would, like, at first, my daughter, my 7 years old, would sometimes complain that her backpack was too heavy, it was too hard. She was a bit behind with my husband, and with my oldest, we were just at the hut or whatever we aimed to go, and he would say, "I'm gonna put my backpack down," and then go all the way down and take her backpack and just run for her, and he would do that for so many days until she actually could get the groove of it, and
oh, that's
that was
wonderful.
amazing to see. Yeah, I was just dead at, like, I cannot move. This was so hard. And he would just run and get her thing. I was like, oh, good. I'm happy you're here. you
That's
know.
right. That's really neat. What a
He could
great
have
story.
rested, but he didn't want. He just wanted to help. So that was really good to see, and yeah,
Yeah,
and be a witness of such yeah a growing kids who knows that their brother or their sister care about them
yeah,
deeply.
yeah. Well, that's really wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. I really do
You're very
think
welcome.
that it would be fun to see. I think you have such a wonderful uh, opportunities in Europe, and that trail in France is a really wonderful one. It would be fun to see
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
more and more families accessing and using it,
Yeah,
especially
they're
if nothing else, to annoy those hikers that were so rude to you at the hut.
true. So, so true. Those ones. Well, I do wish, that's really my hope, that in Europe, like, families we start going outdoors. And I know it's not for everyone to hike 3,000 kilometers and do such technical paths, because some of them were hard. Like, I don't want to say, it's just a simple walk. No, it's not a simple walk. It's technical. So often it's steep, like 2,000 up and down for days. So it is hard, but at least to keep having families going outdoor just for a few days and discover hut, and maybe they will like it and do something harder, but one day at the time see them and see other kiddos outside. I really do wish it's going to happen in
Yeah,
Europe,
that's great.
as you
And
guys
for
have in the US.
this is the only conversion I'll make for you in the US who are thinking 2000 and 2000 up and down is 2000 feet. That's not 2000 feet. That's more like
No,
6,400 or something. That's a lot.
that's a lot. It is a lot, especially when you have to do half of it in boulders,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
because it's
Yeah.
not only the elevation, it's the
Hmm.
technicity of the trail that
Hmm.
makes it
That's
even
right.
harder.
Yep. But some beautiful views at the top. Really wonderful.
That. And I
Oh.
guess for families, what I thought was absolutely amazing in doing such a long distance trail is that you have the same content for all of your kids.
Hmm.
So many people told me, "Oh, you guys are so courageous to do that." And I was like, you know what? It's a lot harder to be home
Yeah.
because, you have to think about so many things at home.
Yes.
Like, this kid
That's
has
right.
this, and parents meeting, and hockey, and whatever. And for
Hmm.
me, mentally, it was so easy in terms of
Yes.
peace of mind. Like we're all at the same place and having the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
That I love that. So we had all the same content, which made, life very, very easy in a way. It was
Yeah.
physically challenging, but mentally, it was easier than being home and having to think about so many different,
Yeah.
different things
Yeah.
for everyone. So that I loved, and having a surprise every day. As I told you, we had no expectation, just walking and see what surprise would arrive to us and what we would learn and who we would meet. And that was amazing compared to, because I met some family who said, we want to go with our children on an adventure like for a year and do a tour du monde, what they call, so world tour, and take
Mm-hmm.
a flight from one place to another and visit so many countries. And to me, it's amazing, but so hard to organize. Like, where should we go? What should we visit? What's the best place to eat? What that you don't have. You just walk and have enough food for 5 days, and it's easy. And you still have so many discoveries. Like, look at this church, look at this castle, and those people, and you get invited there, and you have amazing experience and surprises along the way, without having to just kill yourself in researches and Google search about which are the best country to go to and which restaurant or which beach or whatever. So to me, for families who want to adventure, I think it's really great to just slow down and not think about so many information. Just follow the track. Follow. Are we on track? Like, where are we going? Right or left? It says right. Let's go right. And that's very easy and
Yeah.
amazing to live.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. That's probably a good place to end. Thank you again for your time.
Thank
It's been
you.
great.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
All right.